Think you know everything about True Lies, the adrenaline-fueled blockbuster packed with explosive stunts and sharp humor? Think again. Beneath the surface of this action classic lies a web of secrets, scandals, and behind-the-scenes drama that rivals the film itself. From serious injuries on set to heated debates over character portrayals, the off-camera story is wilder than you'd ever imagine. And yes, there's that unforgettable scene with Jaime Lee Curtis that had jaws dropping. Buckle up as we dive into the untold truths of True Jaime's sexy dance, death-defying stunts, and a jet with a hefty price tag. Stunts. One of the most unforgettable scenes in True Lies features Jaime Lee Curtis performing a sultry dance for Arnold Schwarzenegger, who plays her husband in the film. While the scene became instantly iconic for its boldness and chemistry, many fans don't realize that something entirely unplanned happened during filming. As Curtis performed the dance, she accidentally slipped and fell off the bedpost, but instead of halting the take, director James Cameron loved the spontaneity and kept it in the final cut. That moment of real surprise only added to the scene's authenticity. But this wasn't the only surprising or daring moment involving Jaime Lee Curtis during the making of True Lies. One of the film's most intense action sequences involved her character dangling from a helicopter high above the ocean. Though the scene was incredibly dangerous and could have easily been performed by a professional stunt double, Curtis insisted on doing it herself. Known for her fearless attitude and dedication to her roles, she felt strongly about performing the stunt personally. When director James Cameron suggested using a double for safety, Curtis pushed back. She asked Cameron where he'd be during the shoot, and he explained that he would be hanging from the helicopter door to film her close-up. Inspired by his commitment, Curtis declared that if the director was willing to risk it, she would too. She even decided to complete the stunt on her 36th birthday as a symbolic challenge to herself. For weeks, Curtis trained rigorously, preparing both mentally and physically for the demanding task ahead. When the moment arrived, she showed incredible composure. As the helicopter flew at speeds of up to 70 miles per hour, lifting her into the sky, Curtis remained calm and focused, maintaining perfect posture and form despite the intense pressure and danger. Her bravery turned this scene into one of the most memorable action moments in the film, and in her career. True Lies also has its share of comedic gold, thanks largely to Tom Arnold's role as Albert Gibson, the wisecracking sidekick to Schwarzenegger's Harry Tasker. But one of the film's most memorable lines wasn't in the script, it came straight from Arnold's personal life. In a scene where Gibson confides in Tasker about his own rocky marriage, he delivers the hilarious line, "She even took the ice cube trays from the freezer." The audience loved it, but few knew that this joke was pulled from real life. At the time of filming, Tom Arnold was going through a messy and very public divorce from comedian Roseanne Barr. He had jokingly told director James Cameron that Barr had taken everything in the split, including the ice cube trays. Cameron thought the line perfectly fit Gibson's bitter yet funny character and told Arnold to use it in the film. The result was a moment that struck a perfect balance between humor and heartbreak, highlighting how even the smallest losses in a divorce can feel monumental. When it came to authenticity, James Cameron spared no expense. Determined to add a layer of realism that CGI couldn't replicate, he rented actual military aircraft for the film, specifically, 3 Marine Harrier fighter jets from the U.S. government. This bold move came at a staggering price. Just 1 hour of flight time for each jet cost approximately $2,410, and the total rental cost reached a jaw-dropping $100,000. But the breathtaking aerial footage that Cameron captured justified the price, giving the film a thrilling, cinematic edge that visual effects alone could never match. And finally, there's the character of Spencer Trilby, played by legendary actor Charlton Heston. With his commanding presence and eye patch, Trilby drew clear inspiration from Marvel Comics' Nick Fury. Like Fury, he led a covert government agency tasked with taking down international threats. His organization, Omega Sector, bore a strong resemblance to Marvel's SHIELD and Strike teams, complete with elite operatives and secret missions. It's a subtle nod that added depth to Heston's character and gave the film an added comic book flair. Tango triumphs and unscripted laughs. Arnold Schwarzenegger is well known for his action-packed roles filled with gunfire, explosions, and hand-to-hand combat. But in True Lies, he faced a completely different challenge, learning the tango. In one standout scene, Schwarzenegger's character, Harry Tasker, dances a smooth, romantic tango with his on-screen wife, Helen, played by Jaime Lee Curtis. While audiences may have marveled at the chemistry and grace on display, what they didn't see was the intense preparation behind the scenes. For Schwarzenegger, mastering the tango was no small task. Determined to pull off the scene with credibility, Schwarzenegger committed to a grueling 6-month training program. He studied under seasoned dance instructors, practicing tirelessly to perfect each step, pivot, and posture. He even drew inspiration from Al Pacino's unforgettable performance in Scent of a Woman, aiming to capture a similar elegance and charm on the dance floor. Although it was a far cry from his typical shootouts and stunts, Schwarzenegger embraced the challenge with his signature discipline and intensity. The result was a performance that showed a whole new side of the action star, confident, poised, and surprisingly graceful. But that wasn't the only scene in True Lies that held deeper meaning or had hidden layers. One deleted scene, involving a grenade, offered additional insight into a pivotal moment in the film. Originally, the storyline included a tense sequence in which Juno Skinner, the antagonist, places a live grenade between Helen Tasker's legs during a kidnapping. The scene was designed to crank up the suspense, with Skinner taunting Helen and telling her not to move or the grenade would detonate. Helen, keeping her cool, makes a biting remark about Skinner's experience with things between the legs. The payoff for this scene came later when Helen escapes and passes the grenade to Harry, who cleverly uses her diamond earring to rearm it. He later throws the grenade at the terrorists in a climactic showdown. Unfortunately, this entire sequence was cut from the final film for pacing reasons. As a result, Harry's sudden access to a grenade in the movie can seem a bit random, lacking the context that made it so clever and ironic. Had the scene remained, it would have not only deepened Helen's character but also provided a brilliant connection between the couple in the heat of battle. Director James Cameron's attention to detail and commitment to storytelling didn't stop with action and suspense, he was also the force behind the film's humor. While True Lies is packed with thrilling sequences, it's also known for its sharp, unexpected comedy. James Cameron decided to keep it in the movie. He thought that Curtis and Schwarzenegger's genuine reactions made the scene even better. So, in the end, they left the footage as it was. The film's themes of explosive action and terrorism suddenly became too sensitive in the aftermath of the national tragedy. Both director James Cameron and star Arnold Schwarzenegger were eager to reunite for True Lies 2, intending to continue the story of spy Harry Tasker and his wife Helen into the late 90s. Over the years, the creative team worked hard on crafting a script that not only matched but exceeded the audacious set pieces of the original. It's unfortunate that the planned sequel had the potential to be another blockbuster hit, but the cancellation left fans disappointed. As the events unfolded and people grew more afraid of extremism, it became clear that making an action movie about terrorism wasn't a good idea anymore. Even though it could have raked in a lot of money for them, James Cameron realized it would seem very insensitive and offensive to treat such a serious topic lightly. In the early 2000s, people were scared to do literally anything, even flying on planes. A sequel where Harry fights Middle Eastern villains just didn't fit with the general public's emotions. The funny parts that were supposed to balance out the action in True Lies now seemed like they were ignoring the reality of things and what was happening outside the screen's fourth wall. While filming a major scene for the movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger had a close call with death. It was during an action sequence involving a large passenger jet on an Air Force Base runway. Schwarzenegger's character was supposed to hitch a ride on the outside of the taxiing airplane as it prepared for takeoff, but he didn't know there was a last-minute miscommunication between the stunt team and the pilots. Thinking Schwarzenegger had received the signal to detach from the plane before takeoff, the pilots revved up the jet engines to full power, unaware that the action star was still clinging to the fuselage. The shocking mistake put Schwarzenegger's life in danger as he hung onto the plane while the engines furiously came to life. In a split second, the plane surged down the runway, its huge force pushing it at more than 120 miles per hour. Luckily, Schwarzenegger's fast reaction saved him. He quickly disconnected his safety rope just in time, tumbling away from the jet before it took off. If he had stayed connected a moment longer, the strong forces and wind could have smashed him into the runway or the plane's engines. Schwarzenegger later said it was one of the scariest moments in his whole action career, which was filled with intense scenes and daring stunts. Thankfully, he managed to avoid serious injury or worse, and he lived to promote True Lies for another day. There was a video game based on the movie, but it's pretty much forgotten now. It came out in 1994, right after the movie, hoping to ride on its success. In the game, players have to be Harry Tasker and go on secret missions all over the world, using cool weapons and gadgets to fight bad guys. Even though a big game studio, Pandemic Studios, made it and it had the official license, the True Lies video game didn't sell very well. When it first got released for the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and personal computer, the True Lies game didn't get much attention. Other movie-based games were more popular at the time, so True Lies faded into the background. But as time passed, the game gained a small group of fans who collected old games. Still, many people who love the original James Cameron movie don't even know there's a game based on it. For those who do find the game after watching this video, a little heads up that those who have played it say it's not very good. They've complained that it didn't get the movie's exciting scenes and interesting dialogue. The movie's inclusion of Arab and Middle Eastern characters as terrorist villains has also received a lot of backlash and criticism after its release. While True Lies wasn't meant to tackle serious political issues, its use of stereotypes upset many people who wanted Hollywood to show cultures more accurately. One of the main points of contention was Art Malik's performance as the villain, Salim Abu Aziz. Malik's role leaned heavily on exaggerated gestures and a strong accent, which quickly labeled his character as a menacing Arab figure. This came at a time when prejudices against Arabs were high, especially after the Gulf War. They felt that using that kind of role, especially in a big-budget action film, supported the negative perceptions of Arab people. Despite being of Pakistani descent himself, Malik received backlash for representing stereotypes that combined the contradicting ethnicities and beliefs of the Middle East into one extremely violent character. Critics argued that True Lies irresponsibly increased irrational fears and prejudices against minority groups. The debates surrounding Malik's role are still sometimes the talk of the town, which fans of the entertainment industry wake up some choose arguments. Are you, by chance, one of these fans? What's your opinion about the role? There's another scene in the movie where Harry Tasker gets into a big fight in a bathroom with some bad guys. The initial plan was that this fight was supposed to be much longer and more intense. They wanted it to be a huge brawl, with Harry taking on a whole group of armed attackers all by himself. The plan was to make it look as realistic as possible, with legendary stunt coordinator Benny Dobbins choreographing the whole thing. In this epic version, Harry would have used everyday objects like toilet plungers as weapons, and he would have smashed up the bathroom, taking down each bad guy one by one in a really intense and violent way. Benny Dobbins had big ideas for how to film this fight, with lots of different camera angles and fancy choreography. But as they started planning it out, they realized it might be too much. They were worried that the violence and complexity of the scene would get out of control and be too overwhelming for the audience, so they had to scale back their plans and make the fight shorter and less intense. Even though the shorter version is still exciting to watch, it doesn't have the same impact as the original idea of Harry winning against impossible odds with sheer determination. So, did you know all these facts or pick up on the bloopers and behind-the-scenes mistakes when you first saw the movie? Let us know which one shocked you the most in the comments. Thank you for watching this video until the end. We hope you enjoyed every bit of it and hope to see you in the next one. Don't forget to leave a and subscribe to our channel. It'll mean a lot.